They don't need to speak loudly, compete, or prove anything. Merely through the way they walk, talk, and exist, others can feel something steady, deep, and untouchable. Their difference doesn't lie in appearance or social status, but in a particular kind of energy, the energy of quiet confidence and profound self-respect. Carl Jung once said that most of what we call insecurity is merely a consequence of living far from one's soul. And when a woman begins to turn back, to look within, to understand, to choose, and to honor herself, she not only changes how others treat her, but also transforms the energy surrounding her. In today's video, we will explore the key to becoming a confident and respected woman, not through techniques or words, but through inner transformations powerful enough to change the way you show up in the world. Because sometimes, to be heard, you don't need to speak louder, you only need to be more real. And when you do, the world will quietly lean toward you. Are you ready to open that door? Number 1. The root of insecurity: how women were taught to be good instead of strong. From the time she was a little girl, many a woman was taught that the most important thing is to be good. Yet no one told her that sometimes that very goodness can become the rope that tightens around her soul. We are praised when we yield, when we are reasonable. But whoever taught us that strength isn't rudeness, it's honesty with one's own emotions? Most women grow up within the same pattern: loved when gentle, accepted when agreeable, respected when they don't inconvenience anyone. And so they enter life, pleasant yet fragile, kind yet easily hurt, always striving to please yet forgetting themselves. Bit by bit, they trade inner truth for external safety, not realizing that from that moment, they've stepped away from the foundation of confidence and self-respect. I once met a woman in a therapy session. She was married to a kind, successful man, and for years lived the good wife script, always smiling, never complaining, always yielding for peace at home. When her husband came home late, she simply said, "It's okay." When she was sad, she swallowed her tears and told herself, "A good woman knows how to endure." But after 10 years, she said, "I no longer know what I like, what I want, and he doesn't seem to respect me the way he used to. I've been so good that I've disappeared from my own marriage." Sound familiar? Because countless women in love or marriage have sacrificed themselves just to be called good. Yet a relationship cannot be happy when only one person remains silent to keep the peace. Love doesn't need obedience, it needs honesty and mutual respect. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." The scariest thing isn't rejection by others, it's daring to accept all that you are. But women are taught from childhood to divide themselves. The parts that are loved, gentle, understanding, they keep. The parts that are criticized, strong, rebellious, they hide. And so they live in two worlds, one for others to see, and one deep inside only they know. When you disconnect from your inner truth, you begin to lose respect for yourself. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you send the message, restoring lost trust. You may have lived many years under the pattern of being good, but it's never too late to begin living authentically. Because every time you choose to be a little more honest, a little braver, a little kinder to yourself, you're leaving the land of insecurity and stepping into the land where you can simply be you. And that is the very first step toward becoming a confident and respected woman, learning to stop asking permission to be yourself. Number 2, the first step of confidence, self-understanding and self-choice. When a woman stops asking permission to be herself, she begins to touch a new realm, where confidence doesn't come from others' eyes, but from the feeling that she is living in truth. If the first step was awakening to see the root of insecurity, then this step is the beginning of inner freedom, learning to understand oneself and daring to choose for oneself. True confidence doesn't come from being right, strong, or well-liked. It begins with quiet understanding. Understanding your feelings, your limits, and what brings peace to your soul. A confident woman doesn't need to force strength. She simply has enough awareness to know when to say yes and when to say no. In a personal development course, I heard a woman's story. She had always been the one everyone loved, helpful, attentive, always available when someone needed her. But inside, she was exhausted. One day, when her daughter asked, "Mom, why do you never rest?" she burst into tears. That question made her realize she didn't know who she was apart from pleasing others. She said that for the first time in her life, she allowed herself to say no, to decline a request she didn't want to fulfill. And strangely, instead of losing people's affection, she felt something else grow inside: respect, not only from others, but from herself. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." For many women, that unconscious pattern is the habit of living by others' expectations. Only when you stop, listen, and ask, "What do I really want?" do you begin to rewrite your own story. Self-understanding isn't a one-day journey. It's like entering a dark room, slowly learning to recognize shapes by touch instead of light. At first, you may stumble, feel afraid, even want to turn back. But as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you begin to see what you've never seen before: the buried desires, the imposed limits, and the dreams you thought you'd forgotten. And within that room, confidence begins, not because you've changed, but because you finally dared to look within. Self-choice is the next step after self-understanding. When you understand yourself, you realize that not every choice must please others, and not every path is yours to take. A confident woman is one who can say, "This is what I choose," even if that choice makes her different. She might choose to leave an unhealthy relationship, though others say, "Try a little longer." She might pursue a dream others call unrealistic. But that courage to choose is the true milestone of confidence, because you no longer live to prove, but to live truthfully. Imagine your soul as a garden. If you keep planting seeds brought by others, those shoulds, musts, and what will people think, it will grow thick but scentless. But when you begin to clear the weeds, remove what isn't yours, and sow seeds from your own heart, that garden will start to bloom. Each flower becomes an honest choice, each fragrance, a piece of freedom. Then you'll realize confidence isn't shouting, "I can," but feeling peaceful, knowing, "I'm on the right path." A confident woman isn't afraid of conflict, solitude, or rejection. She knows that losing approval isn't as frightening as losing herself. She doesn't react from fear, but from clarity. No longer chasing praise, she lives so that she can respect herself every time she looks in the mirror. And the miracle is, when she respects herself, the world begins to reflect that respect back. The deepest source of respect always begins within. The way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake, how you listen when you're tired, how you respond to your emotions when they arise, all are mirrors showing others how to treat you. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." When a woman understands and chooses according to her inner voice, she becomes the creator of her destiny. And at that moment, confidence is no longer fragile. It becomes a solid root, shading her whole life. Because in the end, true respect doesn't come from pleasing anyone, but from living so truthfully that you no longer need anyone's validation. And that journey, beginning with understanding and choosing yourself, is the foundation of a confident and respected woman. Number 3. 3 emotional keys to building confidence and respect. Allow yourself to be imperfect. In the Bible, there is the story of Mary Magdalene, a woman despised by society. Yet when she stood before Jesus, she didn't justify or hide her past. She simply wept. And in that moment, when a human being in her barest truth dared from gentleness toward yourself, not pressure to always be right. In that moment, you're free from others' eyes and can see yourself with kinder, fuller ones. Create space for emotion. Carl Jung once wrote, "Emotion is the chief source of all becoming. There is no change from darkness to light or from inertia to movement without emotion. When you ignore emotions, they find other ways to speak, through the body, dreams, or repeating patterns in relationships. Because emotions don't disappear, they transform. We can escape logic, but not feelings. Every fear or unhealed wound carries a message. Your soul wants to be touched. When you dare to sit with emotions instead of suppressing them, you do what most of the world won't. Heal yourself through presence. Women are taught that emotions are too much, irrational, or weak, so they learn to hold back tears, hide anger, and smile through heartbreak. But true strength doesn't come from suppression, but containment. A confident woman isn't afraid of her emotions. She lets them flow like water, knowing they don't define her. Psychologically, when you listen to emotions, you help the unconscious release blocked energy. Jung called this dialogue with the unconscious. Each time you pause to ask, "What am I feeling?" or "Why does this hurt?" you reclaim the power to lead your emotions rather than be led by them. In one Jungian therapy session, a woman in her 30s sat silently for a long time before whispering, "I've forgotten how to cry." She shared that for years she had tried to appear strong at work, in marriage, even amid loneliness. But when the therapist asked what would happen if she let herself cry, she wept like a child. "I realized," she said, "that when I allow myself to cry, I don't become weaker. I become human again." From that moment, everything shifted. Her headaches disappeared, sleep deepened, and her marriage became more genuine. Because once emotion is heard, it ceases to be a burden. It becomes a compass guiding you home. And when you respect your emotions, you'll no longer tolerate relationships, jobs, or environments that shrink your soul. Because emotion, when listened to, always leads you toward peace. Learn to put yourself first without guilt. Imagine you're steering a boat in the middle of the sea. During a storm, if you try to protect every passenger but forget to wear your own life jacket, you'll be the first to drown. Many women are taught that to love is to give, that kindness means self-forgetfulness. But Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." You cannot become yourself if you live in guilt for choosing yourself. Women often confuse putting themselves first with selfishness. In truth, they're opposites. Selfishness is ignoring others. Self-prioritization is loving yourself enough to love others rightly. If you don't listen to your own limits, you'll overgive, then burn out, then resent, and love turns into a burden. Start small. Allow yourself to rest without justification. Eat a good meal without feeling you must deserve it. Spend a morning reading instead of cleaning just to be praised as diligent. That isn't laziness. It's the art of replenishing life force. When you care for yourself with reverence, you teach others how to treat you. And the miracle is, once you truly choose yourself, guilt fades and peace takes its place. Because you realize, if you don't protect yourself, no one else can. A woman who knows how to put herself first doesn't make the world revolve around her. She simply stops spinning for the world. These three keys, accepting imperfection, creating space for emotion, and putting yourself first, aren't separate skills, but three doors leading to one destination: inner freedom. When you stop needing perfection, you release the fear of judgment. When you listen to emotion, you heal the soul once neglected. And when you choose yourself, you become a woman who is not only confident, but respected for her calm and grounded energy. Because after all, confidence isn't the armor you wear before the world, it's the warmth you radiate once you've made peace with yourself. And self-respect doesn't come from being praised as beautiful or accomplished, but from the quiet knowing in your heart that says, "I am enough," even when no one says so. All three doors, acceptance, feeling, and choice, lead to one place: you. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, if you could choose only one to begin today, which would it be? Share your answer in the comments, not for anyone's judgment, but to listen to the deepest voice within you. Number 4. The turning point. From self-compassion to self-respect. When a woman learns to accept imperfection, to listen to emotion, and to prioritize herself without guilt, she steps into a new threshold of inner maturity, where love for herself ceases to be consolation and becomes deep respect. That is the turning point, from self-compassion to self-respect. Confidence doesn't come from pretending to be okay, but from facing pain. Real change doesn't lie in circumstances, but in how we stop betraying ourselves. People often think self-love means saying kind words to yourself, buying things, resting, pampering after exhaustion. Carl Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That is the essence of self-respect, not denying the darkness, but facing it, without avoidance, without idealization. The more a woman dares to face her darkness, fear, jealousy, anger, the sense of not being enough, the clearer she becomes. True light isn't hiding darkness, but seeing it all and still choosing to love herself completely. What Jung meant by making darkness conscious is the process of individuation, the soul's maturation through integrating light and shadow. When you dare to face your wounds without running, you stop living as a victim and start living as a creator. Self-compassion is necessary. It heals. But self-respect is maturity. It rebuilds value. Many women stop at self-compassion. They learn self-care. They say, "I deserve," but deep down, they still fear rejection, stay in half-hearted relationships, still smile when hurt, because they haven't yet believed they deserve respect. Self-respect is quiet. It's the calm state where you no longer need to prove or be rescued. It doesn't come from standing above others, but from standing firmly within yourself. A self-respecting woman doesn't shout, "I'm strong." She simply acts. She doesn't need to prove she's good enough, because she's stopped using others' standards to measure her worth. She doesn't ask permission to live, because she knows being herself is a birthright, not a privilege. From that space, confidence stops being something to strive for. It becomes the natural result of self-respect. When you respect yourself, you no longer depend on others' proper treatment to feel safe, because you've built your own inner boundary. Like walking through heavy rain, you can't stay dry forever, but you can learn not to fear getting wet. From self-compassion to self-respect is the shift that turns a woman from merely healing to awakening, because at that point, she no longer lives to be loved. She lives as love itself, beginning with profound respect for who she is. Number 5. Awakening. When a woman stops playing the victim. When a woman begins to respect herself, her old world trembles. Every relationship built on endurance starts to shake. Roles that once felt safe now feel suffocating. She may lose relationships, status, even the image of the good person she clung to. But in each loss, she regains what matters most, herself. Carl Jung said, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. To truly grow up, you must sometimes accept being seen differently. No more proving, no more needing rescue, no more craving understanding. Because truth doesn't need validation, it only needs your courage to live it." Oprah Winfrey's story embodies this. Abused in childhood, pregnant at 14, cast out by society, yet she refused to let that define her. In an interview, Oprah said, "You are responsible for your life. You can't keep blaming somebody else for your dysfunction. Life is really about moving on." Those words are an awakening. When you stop retelling your pain, you begin writing your freedom. From a girl with a shadowed past, Oprah became a symbol of inner strength, admired not for her success, but for turning pain into purpose. Many women live their whole lives in the victim role without realizing it. They repeat what others did to them. "He betrayed me. They didn't value me. I sacrificed so much," as if pain itself proved their worth. But every retelling tightens the chains. Jung called this the complex of inferiority, the wounded pattern replaying unconsciously, making us attract similar situations to confirm our narrative. When you stop being the victim, you don't deny the past, you simply refuse to let it rule the present. You look back and say, "That hurt me once, but now I choose differently." In that moment, power returns to your hands. Imagine the soul as a mirror covered in dust. Every wound, every lie, every time you forgave out of fear of losing someone, adds another layer of dust. When you stop blaming and start wiping each layer clean, your inner light reappears, not from outside, but from your own courage to face yourself. That's why awakening often feels lonely. Not because you're abandoned, but because you're leaving old roles, the pleaser, the savior, the sufferer. And in that emptiness, a new self is born. When a woman stops playing the victim, she learns that solitude isn't the enemy. It's the sacred space the soul needs to return home. She begins to enjoy quiet evenings alone, without emptiness, walks without needing company, silence without feeling lost. She realizes peace doesn't come from someone beside her, but from not abandoning herself. A woman once shared with our channel, "The day I stopped waiting for someone to come and love me, life began to love me differently. Simple words, but they hold the essence of awakening. When you stop demanding from the outside, you open the flow within, and that energy, calm, without pain. Without pause, old wounds and pleasing habits silently control you. But even a short pause opens the door to freedom. For example, when you receive a hurtful message, instead of replying to "keep your image" or "prove yourself," take a breath, pause, and ask, "If I weren't afraid of being misunderstood, how would I respond?" That question detaches you from fear and returns you to your true self. Psychologist Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response." Conscious pause isn't suppression, it's the art of awareness, acting not from fear, but from clarity. Like a driver, you don't need to accelerate constantly to reach your destination. Sometimes, easing your foot off the gas to observe the road saves you from disaster. Confidence is the same. It's not about speed, but knowing when to slow, stop, or go. Intentional choice. Small acts, great power. Confidence isn't just emotion, it's energy sustained by daily action. Intentional choice means living by values, not reflex. Each day, choose one action for yourself, not for others, not for praise, but because it brings peace to your soul. It could be 10 quiet minutes in the morning without touching your phone, or simply writing, "Today I choose peace over pleasing." Jung said modern humans lose their souls not for lack of time, but for forgetting to give time to meaning. When you perform one intentional act, however small, you tell your unconscious, "I'm worthy of care." That builds trust in yourself, not through words, but lived experience. I once knew a designer with a hectic schedule, constant calls and deadlines. One day she realized she hadn't done anything just for joy in months. She started small. Every morning, before checking emails, she brewed tea and sat quietly by the window for 10 minutes, doing nothing but breathing and watching the light shift on the wall. At first she felt guilty for doing nothing, but soon realized it was the only time of day she truly belonged to herself. Intentional choice reminds you that you always have the power to shape your day. No matter how chaotic life gets, one thing remains in your control: your attitude and how you care for yourself. Practice this daily, and you train your soul to trust itself again. The Mirror of Truth, a ritual of self-respect. Every morning, stand before the mirror, look into your eyes and say, "Today, I respect myself." Don't say it mechanically. Look deeply, as if meeting an old friend forgotten. Carl Jung said, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. You can't be yourself if each day begins with criticism or doubt. The mirror symbolizes honesty. It neither lies nor judges. When you face it with acceptance, you practice unconditional love, the rarest kind we give ourselves. Modern psychology calls this mirror affirmation therapy. Studies show that when you tell yourself phrases like, "I am enough," or "I respect myself," the brain eventually records them as truth. Over time, they shape your beliefs, your behavior, and your sense of worth. Confidence isn't built overnight, but through small daily rituals. Each time you look into the mirror and smile at yourself, you build a bridge between the conscious and unconscious, where you no longer need others' approval to feel enough. It's like wiping the dust off the soul's mirror each morning. That dust, comparison, judgment, voices of those who once made you doubt your worth, slowly clears, revealing your real face, the woman returning to her true self. These three practices aren't mere habits, they are sacred rituals to sustain confident energy daily, so you don't lose yourself in the world's noise. When you pause, you reclaim mastery over reaction. When you choose intentionally, you reaffirm your inherent worth. And when you look into the mirror each morning, you remind your soul, "I am here and I am enough." If you sustain these simple acts, you'll realize something profound. Confidence was never something to find. It was always there, waiting for you to listen. Comment the word "ready" below as a small promise to yourself that starting today, you will pause before fear, choose intentionally, and look in the mirror with respect instead of judgment. Because sometimes, one small act each day, pausing, choosing, and looking deeply, is enough to return you to the confident energy that was always within you. A confident and respected woman isn't one who's always right, strong, or adored, but one who dares to live in harmony with her soul. She doesn't need perfection to be accepted, nor approval to be loved. She knows when to stop, when to choose, and when to simply stay silent and listen within. Every decision, every pause, every small daily act becomes a golden thread, weaving lasting self-respect. And it's precisely that quietness, unshowy, unforced, that makes the world respect her without her demanding it. For the confident woman doesn't seek power outside. She nurtures it within, where she has learned to Have you ever wondered why someone appears just when you're feeling lost, lonely, or yearning for change? Why do some people feel instantly familiar, while others hurt you so deeply, as if they were programmed to teach you a specific lesson? According to Carl Jung, nothing in life is random, and you never meet anyone by accident. Jung believed that every person you meet is a vivid reflection of yourself, of an inner psychological world you may not even be aware of. They appear not by coincidence, but because your internal frequency resonates with theirs. This is explained by the law of resonance, a concept grounded in both physics and spirituality, and a foundational truth in depth psychology. You attract what you carry within you. In the journey ahead, we'll explore with Carl Jung how seemingly random connections are the echoes of your soul, signals of awakening, and links that shape your destiny. Are you ready to look at every encounter in your life through an entirely new lens? Stay until the end of this video, because what I'm about to share may forever change the way you view every relationship in your life. Number 1. What is the law of resonance? In a universe where everything is in motion, all things emit their vibrations. Sound waves, light waves, particle oscillations, heartbeats, breath, emotional rhythms, thoughts. Everything carries a frequency. And humans, in body, mind, and soul, are no exception. Each of us is a living energy field. What you think, what you feel, the fears you hide, the desires you haven't admitted, all blend into a unique frequency. It's not visible like the color of your clothes, nor audible like your voice, but it rings out constantly in the unseen world, and the universe is always listening. You send out a melody, and the universe responds with harmony. That's the law of resonance, a simple yet powerful principle. You attract into your life whatever matches your internal vibration. Not by chance, not by some vague destiny, but as a precise response from the world to what's happening inside you. The quality of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs determines the strength and nature of the frequency you emit, and therefore what you draw into your life. Emotions like fear, apathy, sorrow, anger, and anxiety generate a very different resonance than feelings of confidence, joy, and gratitude. Understanding this is the first step toward no longer feeling like a victim of life. Instead of asking why negative patterns keep repeating, you begin to ask, what signal am I sending out that keeps this going? The law of resonance isn't some magical fix that instantly changes your circumstances, but it's a map guiding you inward where true change begins. A new belief, a healed wound, an acknowledged emotion. Resonance is simply the process of initiating and amplifying vibrational response, a connection, in a receiving system tuned to or resonating with a source. It's crucial to understand that resonance only begins when the frequencies of the two systems, the receiver and the emitter, are aligned and identical. In other words, you cannot send out a frequency of insecurity and expect to attract someone you deeply admire. Imagine you're a musical instrument. If inside you plays a symphony of love, authenticity, and peace, you'll find luck. Every glance, every smile, every word, every collision carries within it the invisible resonance between two frequencies. And the clearer you become about what you're vibrating from within, the more you'll understand why that person walked into your life. Number 2, responses from the unconscious. We often think the people we meet in life appear by coincidence: classmates, colleagues, friends of friends, strangers on the street, a swipe online. But they don't. These meetings that seem to divert the course of our lives don't follow visible logic, aren't pre-planned, and don't rely on algorithms or control. In Carl Jung's world, nothing is random, especially people. The person you meet is the one your inner world is calling out for. Carl Jung asserted that each of us is not only governed by consciousness, the part of you that is aware and in control, but also guided by a deeper layer, the collective unconscious, made up of instincts and archetypes. These appear as rituals, symbols, and primal images rooted in ancient memory, things repressed by consciousness. Humans cannot consciously grasp these archetypes, but they feel a powerful sense of them. Jung described the unconscious as a vast ocean lying beneath the thin ice sheet of awareness. It is not a dark realm to be feared, but the primordial source of emotions, memories, beliefs, and symbols, accumulated over a lifetime and even across generations. The unconscious stores what you've forgotten, denied, or never dared to face. But it doesn't lie dormant. It moves quietly yet powerfully. And one of the ways it surfaces is through the people you meet. There's a difference. It's as if it's already been written, as though an invisible thread connects two life paths from separate worlds. Jung once said that some connections are formed before life even gives them a name. This isn't poetry. It's the theory of the unconscious. Beneath the surface of events, something deeper is at play. A symbolic intelligence leads us to what must be lived, understood, healed, or transformed. Nothing happens by accident, because in this context, coincidence isn't randomness, it's a language. What you call fate may simply be the unconscious interacting with the outer world. They come as mirrors, not to comfort you, but to reflect you. The striking thing is, you don't need to know what frequency you're emitting. Your unconscious is doing it for you. The suppressed thoughts, the emotions you refuse to acknowledge, the childhood beliefs you absorbed but never questioned. All of these are broadcasting energy. You may smile on the outside, but if you're filled with anger and pain inside, you will still attract people who provoke that same anger and pain. Each person enters your life carrying a message, not to pass through, but to respond to the deepest layers within you. Like a door suddenly opening in the routine of life, they step in and activate something asleep inside you. You may meet someone quiet, distant, who hurts you by making you feel ignored or abandoned. But if you're honest and look deeper, you'll realize that feeling wasn't caused by them, it was already within you, long before. That person is just a mirror, reflecting the fear of rejection you once tasted in childhood, or in a past relationship that was never healed. The human mind is a labyrinth, where every thought, reaction, and feeling is shaped by layers we rarely explore. Carl Jung knew this better than anyone. He described the psyche as an iceberg. The conscious mind is the visible tip, but beneath it lies a vast unconscious realm, a landscape holding past experiences, wounds, insecurities, and most importantly, our projections onto the world. What we fail to make conscious will control us, and everything we ignore in ourselves doesn't disappear. It appears in reality as unavoidable fate. Think of how fear sneaks into your life without you even noticing. It disguises itself as self-doubt when you wonder whether you're lovable. It hides in procrastination when you delay your deepest desires out of fear of failure. It shows up in relationships where you give too much because you're terrified of rejection or loneliness. Imagine a woman who once loved deeply but was betrayed. Since then, every man she falls for turns out to be unavailable. One is married, another is distant, another leaves without explanation. Through therapy, she discovers that she never believed she was worthy of love. Deep in her unconscious, she believes everyone will leave, and so she keeps attracting men who reflect that belief. No one forces her to choose them, but the unconscious, like a persistent director, rewrites the script of her life. And she plays the lead, repeating the same play. The people she chooses aren't mistakes. They are messages. Messages that tell her it's time to look inward, to heal the abandoned child inside. If you see yourself in that story, pause for a moment. Leave a symbol or a short note in the comments so others and you know that you're not alone on this journey. That's how the darkness within us tries to step into the light. Not through theory, not through books, but through with this person. What part of me is this person illuminating, a part I've never dared to face? At this point, we're halfway through this journey. If you're still here, thank you for staying with me as we uncover these truths. The deeper we go, the more you'll find the courage to face that mirror. And then, there are those rare, powerful moments when the universe doesn't just echo silently, but sends you a signal so clear, a coincidence so loud, that it makes you stop in your tracks. It's not random. It's the meaning behind something sacred, finally asking you to listen. Number 3, the meaning of synchronicity. In a world governed by logic and cause and effect, Carl Jung proposed a bold hypothesis. Not everything happens for a clear reason. Some things happen simply because they need to happen. He called those moments synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. Synchronicity isn't just something that happens at the right time, but rather a coded message from the unconscious sent directly to you. It creates fateful encounters filled with intentional resonance. These moments awaken dormant parts of the soul or shake loose illusions clung to by the ego. You don't choose the timing chooses you. You don't seek the person. They arrive like a doorway into deeper dimensions. It is the self that orchestrates these encounters. It knows what the ego does not. It operates through symbols, dreams, and meaningful coincidences, often using another person as a mirror to reflect what you have yet to see. If you look closely at the path of your life, you'll realize the right people always show up at the most unexpected moments. Jung observed that the ego is inherently limited. It builds identity out of choices, who you decide to be, how you present yourself, and what you deem acceptable. But everything excluded out of fear, shame, or habit doesn't vanish. It retreats into the unconscious. And that, precisely, is what you are most likely to attract. Carl Jung believed the unconscious doesn't just live in you, it permeates the entire universe. Everything, objects, events, and people, is connected by invisible threads. When you emit a vibration from within, whether you're aware of it or not, the external world responds with a resonant experience, often in ways you can't explain using conventional logic. The soul recognizes long before the mind can name. And when that recognition occurs, the flow of life alters its direction. Everything that comes to you harmonizes with what's vibrating within you. This is the foundation of what could be called the law of spiritual resonance. External experiences, especially human encounters, reflect inner states. It's not just energy in a mystical sense, but emotional vibration, psychological tone, and symbolic charge. You attract what matches your psychological frequency, including wounds, unmet needs, vague longings, unresolved traumas, and rejected aspects of self. Others appear as emotional mirrors, reflecting exactly what you haven't seen or accepted in yourself. The unconscious doesn't speak in straight lines, it speaks in symbols. The world around you is the stage where that symbolic language plays out. Repeated scenarios, familiar faces or names, déjà vu, these can all be whispers from the unconscious. There's still something here you need to see. You don't always attract what you want. More often, you attract what you're avoiding, not as punishment, but due to vibrational alignment. This law also explains why some connections feel inevitable. Even when you try to step away, something insists on staying. Encounters with your psychological opposite aren't always gentle. They often bring friction, resistance, and even denial. The other person displays something you haven't yet accepted in yourself, but must eventually integrate. The attraction arises from contrast, and within that contrast lies the growth potential, because it illuminates where you stand in your individuation journey. The outer universe is not separate from you, it is the truest mirror of what lives inside you. Some encounters nourish you, others slap you awake. But most carry a fracture, like someone touching a part of you you've kept hidden. It's not random, it's psychic complementarity. Carl Jung said, Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. When you're drawn to someone drastically different, ask yourself, what is this person showing me? What lack am I not acknowledging? What qualities do I admire in others that I've not yet developed in myself? The opposite doesn't appear to deny you, but to remind you of who else you could become. When you begin living with the awareness that every event might carry a message, you begin to live more consciously. Every interaction becomes a mirror reflecting the ego. You no longer skim the surface of relationships. You no longer dismiss everything as just a coincidence. Instead, you learn to listen, to observe, to feel. Someone shows up and you ask, what do I need to learn from them? Something happens and you ask, what is this reflecting within me? What Jung called the shadow. The shadow is the least mentioned psychological realm, the parts of ourselves we were once taught shouldn't exist. It could be anger, it could be competitiveness, it could be independence, it could be the voice that wants to live authentically. The shadow rarely shows itself clearly. It might appear as random outbursts of rage, as a lingering insecurity, as strange, repetitive dreams that play like a glitching mental tape, or as familiar patterns that keep repeating in life. Behind these symptoms, a part of the shadow may be surfacing, demanding to be heard after years of repression. Jung believed that we are not simply drawn to people who resemble us. We are attracted to or repelled by those who activate our shadow. Intense, chaotic, emotionally charged relationships are often not the wrong people, but the right ones, the ones who illuminate parts of ourselves we haven't yet recognized. For example, a man feels deeply drawn to wild, rebellious, uncontrollable women. He loves them, but he fears them. Meanwhile, he lives a rigid life, always trying to be the good son, the good man. These women represent instinctual, raw emotion, the very parts of himself he's repressed for years. And so, he both desires and avoids them, Attraction is not just emotional chemistry, it's a collision between the conscious and the unconscious. Jung believed the unconscious doesn't merely store repressed impulses, it transforms them. He saw the unconscious not as a passive container, but as an active, shaping force. When a part of the self is denied, it doesn't rest. It mutates. It seeks expression through indirect and often destructive channels. The more it's suppressed, the more symbolic and irrational its emergence becomes. When we don't recognize our dark side, we begin to see it in others. You may criticize someone's temper while repressing your lifelong anger. You may feel annoyed by someone who brags because you've never allowed yourself to want recognition. The shadow, when unacknowledged, starts to control us from within. It sabotages healthy relationships. It drives people into loops of anxiety, confusion, and emptiness. And if they never stop, never look inward, the shadow will keep speaking, not through words, but through consequences. The danger isn't in the dark parts of ourselves, it's in thinking they don't exist, that if we suppress them long enough, or hide them well enough, they'll simply disappear. But Jung emphasized, the shadow never vanishes on its own. It grows silently, nourished by your very avoidance. To Jung, confronting your shadow is a lifelong negotiation, part of the process of self-education. It allows us to rescue forgotten virtues buried in the psyche, to be honest about who we are, and to recognize both our capacity for good and our potential for harm. The shadow, often seen as negative, also holds tremendous positive potential. It only becomes hostile when ignored or misunderstood. Jung believed the path to becoming your true self, the individuation process, cannot unfold unless you face your shadow. Because the shadow isn't evil, it's what's been rejected. And what is rejected will always find its way back, often in the form of another person. When you begin to accept that your negative emotions arise from within and not from others, you begin to reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance. You become someone who enters into dialogue with yourself. So, how do we integrate the shadow and connect it to who we are? Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. First, we must accept that part of who we are is made of impulses, and the dark is part of everyone. Whether we want it there or not, it influences how we behave and how we perceive the world. Second, we must understand its nature. This requires self-reflection. Self-reflection can be cultivated through meditation, observing the mind in the present moment, or through practices like journaling, where we write down our thoughts, moods, fantasies, and desires. Both methods help us understand how our mind works, and both gradually allow us to discover the characteristics of our own shadow. Third, and most crucial, is negotiation. This is the back and forth dialogue we will inevitably have between accepting and rejecting the shadow, figuring out what serves us and what doesn't. But one thing you must remember: the shadow doesn't live quietly inside. It needs a context to emerge, a stage on which to express itself. And there is no better stage than relationships. Others, especially those who stir deep emotional reactions, don't enter your life by accident. They are mirrors. And sometimes, they are doors, opening a spiritual path you never dared to walk before. Number 5. Relationships as gateways to spiritual growth. Each time a connection forms, something inside awakens, a dormant power, a forgotten wound, a role you never imagined for yourself. This happens because the other person is not just a person. They are a catalyst, activating an archetype. Have you ever loved someone who made you feel complete? Parting doesn't mean the love was wasted. On the contrary, it may signal that the love fulfilled its mission: to expose what was hidden, to break illusions so that something new can be born. Not all stories end with happily ever after, but maybe happiness lies somewhere else, in the clarity left behind, in the strength you didn't know you had. The soul understands that some presences are only needed up to a point. Beyond that, continuing would force what's already complete. The ego clings. The soul understands and lets go. Accepting the end of a cycle doesn't lessen its value. It honors what was lived without needing it to continue. Gratitude is not romanticization. It's recognition. Looking back and seeing that despite the pain, something moved, awakened, matured. Some people teach through gentleness, others through absence, but all contribute to the journey. Those who arrive, stay, or leave all resonate with what's already vibrating within you. The unconscious walks paths the rational mind cannot reach. Only after the dust settles does clarity often arrive. Pain becomes a sign. Chaos becomes a story unfolding. The other person becomes a mirror. On this journey, you've found pieces of yourself reflected in others' eyes, in the thrill of beginnings, the ache of endings, the intensity of projection, and peace of true presence. You learn that not every bond is meant to last, but every bond has something to teach. It's all valuable, not because everything worked out, but because something true was revealed. In the end, every encounter is exactly what it needs to be: a doorway into your inner world. Joseph Murphy, author of over 30 books on the power of the human mind, wrote in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind that the subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds are planted through repeated thoughts and strong emotion will grow into external reality. Relationships, repetition, and recurring themes None of are random. All of them emerge from what is already resonating within you. Not every relationship comes to fill a void. Some appear to remind you that wholeness already exists. These bonds aren't based on lack, but on presence. They don't feed illusion or patch holes, they simply share space. Healing relationships are not always the most romantic. They are the ones where you feel safe being yourself. Where the other person doesn't try to fix you, they walk with you as you rebuild. Such connections awaken Jung's healer archetype, an inner pattern stirred when we meet someone who listens without judgment. They don't come to fill what's missing, but to remind you of all that was already there. And from that remembering, the healing begins. No fireworks, no dependency, just pure presence. We do not move through life as isolated beings, bumping into each other in the dark. Every step you take toward another is also a step you take toward yourself. Every relationship, whether brief, intense, or enduring, is a mirror. Some mirrors hurt you. Some reveal a beauty you had forgotten. Some make you cry, not because of the other person, but because finally you were seen. Maybe you once thought, this person is only meant to walk with me for a short while, and yet they left behind a resonance deeper than an entire novel. Not because they were special, but because you, at that moment, had opened a part of your soul to receive that reflection. Carl Jung didn't teach us to run from pain or avoid being hurt. He showed us that every relationship is a vehicle for individuation, for confronting our shadow, for listening to the soul, for realizing that love is not merely a feeling, it's a movement of consciousness. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've loved the wrong person. Maybe you've repeated the same patterns over and over. But ask yourself, what have you learned about yourself through them? What in you was awakened, changed, or forced into awareness? So, stop asking why someone came and left. Instead, ask, what part of myself did I meet through them? What is my soul trying to show me? Step out of the victim role. Stop searching for the right person to love. Start becoming the person awake enough to learn from every encounter. When you do that, the world stops being a chaotic mess of surprises and becomes a living map of your inner world, where every person, every experience is a message, a guide, a whisper saying, "You have never met anyone by accident, and you have never been lost. You are simply being called back to yourself." And if what I've shared has spoken to something true inside you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Not for me, but for yourself. Because the more deeply you understand others, the closer you come to understanding yourself. And once you understand yourself, you no longer live reactively. You begin to live with conscious presence.